C.J. Stroud and the Texans getting the spotlight against Caleb Williams, the supposed next big thing of the Chicago Bears. You had Collinsworth there, Tirico. They were having quite the time. So I don't know if you watched this or not. Maybe you were worn out by the day. You lost your parlays. You got smoked like someone I know against a penny. So C.J. Stroud. Now, you look at the stat line. He's like, well, he's the headliner. So he had 260 yards, most of that in the first half. Also had the one touchdown. And then Kaimi Fairbairn. That is the hero, right? I mean, that's the guy, the kicker. Fairbairn. I don't know how to say the guy's name. I know he went to UCLA, but, I mean, when you're talking about your idiot kicker in the headline, he had field goals of 56, 47, 59, and 53. 4 field goals. Not impressed. Houston gets the win. They don't cover the number. Remember, good teams win, great teams cover. They're not a great team. They didn't cover. They didn't cover the spread Sunday night. So Caleb Williams, we'll get to him in a second, but let us discuss the question. What do you make? We'll start with the team that's supposed to be right there among all the elites in the AFC, the team from Houston. So what do you make of this performance by C.J. Stroud and the Texans offense? So I've got campaign headquarters, patio furniture, and wagon. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to give you a giant migraine headache. If you give us 10 minutes, we'll give you I'm kidding. All right, so the Maller report card, after a thorough minute-by-minute observation of the Houston Texans offense, I give the Texans offense the D. I give them a D. I expected more. I was not overly impressed. Now, we haven't seen total domination. It's only 2 games, but that's all we have. We do the show today. We don't do the show at the end of the year. We do the show now. We'll worry about the big picture at the end of the year. We have to grade these things on week 1 and week 2. We're talking right now at the end of week 2 with 1 game left on Monday night as we're doing this, and I just did not get the sense that this is one of those it teams. I did not. Despite adding Joe Mixon and Stephon Diggs in the offseason, and even though they're 2-0, this was a grinded-out kind of a game. C.J. Stroud, his MVP campaign, the campaign headquarters for the C.J. Stroud MVP is in crisis mode at this point there, not clicking on all cylinders. Underwhelming would be the way I would describe it, despite the 2 wins. Texans were way too dependent on the kicking game, and those not just field goals, long field goals. And now before you call up and say, well, but the Chicago defense is pretty good. Okay, spoiler alert, that is true perhaps that the Bears do have a good defense, but irrelevant to the conversation, and here's why. Okay, it's irrelevant because if the Texans are highfalutin and they're the real deal, right, they're the real McCoy, they're top-notch offense, don't you agree with me that it doesn't matter who they play, that they're going to put up impressive offensive numbers? The opponent should not matter and does not matter if you're truly elite. Now, if you're good against bad teams, okay, fine. Then you can say they're good against bad teams. That's the Texans. But the cream's supposed to rise to the crop here, to the top of the crop, and that second half offense by Houston was atrocious. It was absolutely atrocious. They had the ball 7 times in the second half against the Bears. 1 field goal, a fumble, and 5 punts. And that's it. In the second half, C.J. Stroud, after halftime, averaged barely 5 yards per pass, 5.1 yards per pass in the second half, had a passer rating below 70 in the second half of the game. And Joe Mixon, overall, the old Bengal, Joe Mixon, he had 9 carries for 25 yards. Whoop-de-damn-do. Well, how about Stephon Diggs? Clearly, Stephon Diggs must have been the star of the show. No. He was targeted 6 times. He had 4 catches and 37 yards. Ho-hum. 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 Nico Collins was the star of the show at the beginning of the game. He had some big pass plays. Now, on the other side, the better story is in the losing locker room. So my guys in Chicago, Eugene in Chicago, Euphemi, all you guys, you know who you are, right, that are content contributors to the show. My core group of people in Chicago that listen to the show. You told me this guy's amazing, right? So how would you qualify this performance by the rookie quarterback, Caleb Williams of the Bears in this game? So this is nothing to paint your fingernails over, if you know what I'm saying, right? This is nothing to get all excited there and go down and paint your fingernails. Because Williams, who was billed by the establishment, the football establishment, being like patio furniture. Now, what do I mean by that? Billed as patio furniture, no assembly required. You pick it up, it's all built. You don't have to build it. It's wonderful. Ready to use right out of the box. Take them out of the box, and you're on your way. That would be false advertising. That would definitely be false advertising because he had a rude awakening in week 1, and I would say this is also in that category. Caleb, he drowned against the Tennessee Titans. They won the game anyway, Chicago. But I would argue he wasn't measurably better in this game. That I didn't see leaps and bounds of improvement. The Bears offense finished the game with 6 punts, 2 Caleb Williams interceptions. There could have been more. 1 turnover on downs for the Bears offense. Plus, they did have a touchdown and a couple of field goals. But you could have gotten that kind of production from Justin Fields, right? Or some guy drafted in the 3rd round. Not the number 1 overall pick. I mean, come on now. He averaged 4.7 yards per pass, Caleb Williams. Less than 5. 7 is the standard for average, so he's way below average. Both these quarterbacks were way below average, at least in the second half for C.J. Stroud. The other thing I noticed is the plague of so many quarterbacks in the NFL. Caleb Williams' internal clock appears to be broken. What I mean by that is he kept getting sacked. Many of them were because he held the ball for too long. And you really got to speed up the clock. And if you don't, you're going to get killed. You're going to lead the world in sacks, and that's no way to consistently be successful in the NFL. He was sacked 7 times in this game. And again, it's like, well, the Texans have a good defense. Okay. You know that going in, you get rid of the ball, right? You treat it like a hot potato, and you move on, and that's it. Now, last word, speaking of hot potatoes, we go to Colorado. Why not? The Steelers offense did just enough to beat the Broncos. As the headline here, this is from Justin Fields postgame. Now, Fields had another stinker at quarterback. This guy sucks, Justin Fields. But he then had the chutzpah to say that the Steelers gave Russell Wilson a, quote, petty game ball after the win over Denver because, according to Justin Fields, Russ kind of did dirty last year. In fact, just to prove I'm not making this up, we have the audio tape. Here is what it sounded like post-game Justin Fields after the Steelers beat the Broncos. Listen closely.
I mean, I think we all know Russ did dirty last year, so I know he wished, he could have played today in this game, but it's awesome, getting a win for him. He got a petty game ball, so, yeah, it's great getting a dub for Russ for sure.
Now, what is the petty game ball? Is that different than the regular game balls, like a different color? I don't know. I've never gotten a petty game ball. So how does that one hit you, that the Steelers decided to reward Russ? So I understand the context that, hey, they're teammates and they love each other, they're lovey-dovey and all that stuff, and they're fighting the machine. But on this one, it's the Steelers, whoever decided this is what we're going to do, we're going to give Russ a game ball here, even though he did not play in the game. That is akin to the honey wagon tipping over. Poop on wheels, if you will. Poop on wheels. And Mike Tomlin does not strike me as participation trophy coach guy. So I assume this came from somebody else, but he had to sign off on it, I would think. Now, here we are. If Russell Wilson wanted a game ball, then he should have played in the game. Oh, he couldn't play. All right. Russ did not get the job done in Denver. And this idea that somehow the Broncos were the bad guy and that Russ was the good guy, like, where did that come from? Like, what kind of alternative reality is that? The Broncos contacted the Better Business Bureau, and they're like, hey, there were some false claims made in Seattle here, and what's going on? And Wilson, last season, I understand, like, low information fans. There's a lot of dumb fans out there. I get it. There's a lot of morons that are, meatheads football fans that think, well, what about the stats? What about the stats? Yeah, okay. Tell me you don't know football without telling me you don't know football. The Broncos last year, Russell Wilson had some misleading numbers. And so idiot fans amongst us, they're hiding amongst us. They're like, oh, man, he was good. Okay. But the Broncos had the 24th ranked passing offense with Russell Wilson starting the majority of the games in Denver. So if you're 24th out of 32 teams, how is that particularly good? I mean, maybe for you have low standards, but not for me, and clearly not for the Broncos. I don't know any NFL team. If Russ was doing a good job, I don't care how petty you think certain people are, you're not going to pay $85 million for the guy not to play for you if he's getting the job done even a little bit. That should be a dead giveaway. Not exactly working out.